You're not a beginner web designer anymore, and you've been thinking about earning passive income by selling things like online courses, website templates, and other similar offers. If this is you, keep watching. I'll walk you through exactly what to focus on and in what order so that you can set your business up for multiple income streams that actually work. Hey, I'm Danbee. I'm a web design mentor, and I help web designers build profitable and inclusive businesses without overworking. I started my business as a freelance web designer, and there are 3 business checkpoints that I'm so glad I did not skip before adding online courses and digital products to my business. I want to share those with you in this video so that you have the best chance of success without wasting time or money. And by the way, if you're interested in my programs for web designers, you can get started with a free training at danbeeshin.com/training. So the 3 checkpoints that I mentioned define phase 3, the expert phase, in my web design business roadmap. This is where you move beyond just providing web design services. You're building your brand as a trusted advisor and working with good fit clients who trust you as their advisor, as their strategic partner, and as a consultant. You're also growing your visibility, making it easier for the right people to find you and remember you, and eventually help you earn passive income. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about charging high-ticket prices. And the question here is, are you charging enough per project to meet your income goals? And a high ticket doesn't refer to any golden standard. It can actually mean different things to different people. For most web designers that I work with, high ticket pricing starts at about $5,000. For some people, it could mean $3,000, and for other people, it could mean $10,000 or more. But it's also not some arbitrary number. It's whatever number that helps you meet your income goals and makes you feel fairly compensated for your work. It's naturally going to depend on things like where you live and your cost of living, whether you're supporting just yourself or others like kids, partners, family members, and also your level of expertise and the results, the value of the results that you're delivering for your clients. A super common mistake that I see designers make is not having an income goal or choosing a random number for their income goal without really thinking about what that number means for their lifestyles. If your income goal is too low, it's obvious you're going to struggle. It's going to be really hard to invest back into your business, to take time off work, and also turn away bad fit clients. And if your income goal is too high, that's going to create constant pressure, frustration, and the sense that you're never making enough progress, even if you are doing really well, objectively speaking. And that is going to push you to chase clients who might not be well aligned with your values, your strengths, and the kind of lifestyle that you want, just because they might help you make more money. That is not sustainable, and that can actually keep you from creating the consistent, reliable income that I know you're aiming for. When I started my web design business, I was living in Singapore, one of the most expensive cities in the world. And I knew that I wanted to make about $100,000 per year to replace my corporate salary. My first ever client website was under $2,000, but I raised my prices with every single client project. And I also eventually added copywriting to raise the value of my services. Even when I started experimenting and dipping my toe in the world of online courses, I kept prioritizing my client projects because I wanted to continue raising my prices to get to the point where I was charging enough per project to meet my income goals. Because I knew that it was going to be much easier and faster to earn, for example, $8,000 from one high value project than to try selling a $100 course to 80 plus people. So I focused on client work until I was reliably charging between $9,000 and $11,000 per project. And that took about 3 years from when I first started with my first web design client. So at that point, I could answer yes to the question, are you charging enough per project to meet your income goals, and pass this checkpoint. The next checkpoint is about content marketing. Are you using content like social media, blogging, podcasts, or YouTube to build trust with your audience? And this is important for building a body of work that allows potential customers to get to know who you are, what you care about, and how you think. When you create content consistently on a platform that your audience already uses, you're not just promoting your web design services, although that will happen naturally. You're also building an audience of people who want to learn from you and want to hear your perspective. Here's what this looked like for me. I started on Instagram because I knew that my audience of online coaches, online business owners, including web designers, were already on Instagram. And I also started developing a habit of sending a weekly email newsletter. So every Wednesday, I sent an email unless I was sick or on vacation. The turning point for me was when I started talking more openly about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and especially global inclusion in the online business space. I started sharing how online businesses have a responsibility and a duty to serve all of their customers fairly, regardless of where they live. I'm sure if you've spent any amount of time in the online business space, you'll have noticed that international customers pay the same amount for courses and programs, but often get much less support than buyers based in the US or other Western markets. Once I started talking about this more publicly, my audience started growing more quickly. And that was because these people could see that I cared about the same kinds of things that they cared about, and they wanted to hear more about what I had to say. If you're also creating content that creates this kind of trust and connection with your audience, you are ready to move on to the next checkpoint. And if this is you, if you're ready, tell me by hitting the thumbs up button so that I know that I should create more content for this stage of business. I would also love it if you hit subscribe while you're at it. It really helps me keep making free video content like this. Checkpoint 3, do you have a combined audience of at least 1,000 subscribers and followers across different platforms? And that can include any social media platform, your email list, your podcast, YouTube, etc. So I know you're asking, why 1,000? It's not because it's some magic number, obviously it's not, but most designers I know start seeing traction with digital products and other passive income sources like online courses, one-off training webinars, virtual events, etc. once they've built a warm and engaged audience of about 1,000 people. At this point, you can test and validate new ideas quickly because you have an audience. You already know how to share ideas effectively online because of all the content marketing you've been doing. And you have these people who are already interested in what you have to say and what you have to offer. In my business, I continue to write weekly email newsletters focusing on sharing stories about globally inclusive design and business practices. And I also repurposed many of those emails into Instagram posts so that I could reach more people without starting from scratch every time. And anytime I was invited to speak at a summit, join a bundle, speak inside a paid program, be a guest on a podcast, I said yes, as long as the host was aligned with my values and also cared about building a more inclusive online business space. My answer was always yes. And that filter helped me find more aligned opportunities and just make sure that I was reaching the right kind of audiences. In the beginning, I did apply to a few summits and bundles myself, but over time, the invitations started coming to me, and they were all from people who I loved learning from and genuinely wanted to work with. And of course, that was a great feeling. The great news for you is that this doesn't have to take a really long time. After running my business full-time for 1 year, I had grown my audience to 1,700 email subscribers and Instagram followers. And by the end of my second year of business, that number had doubled to 3,500 people. But of course, it wasn't all straightforward either. I spent a lot of time growing two separate audiences, web designers and online business owners who were not designers. And I don't exactly regret it because I was able to create courses and services that served those two separate audiences, but I did spend a lot of time experimenting and trying to figure out which audience I wanted to support and how, as a business of one person with limited resources. Eventually, I did find my sweet spot, and that's helping freelance web designers build profitable and inclusive businesses. And I have to say, once I got clear on that, everything else became so much easier. Once you have your combined audience of 1,000 or more subscribers and followers, you can move through this checkpoint and on to phase 4. Phase 4 is where you actually start adding in those different income streams and scaling your business beyond done-for-you client work. I know that it can be so tempting to jump straight into launching new offers like website templates and online courses before completing the steps that I've shared in this video. And it's your business. You can absolutely do whatever you want. But I just wanted you to know that if you do skip ahead, it's going to be so much more difficult for you to sell those offers. Now, if you are ready to explore phase 4, you can download the free web design business roadmap at danbeeshin.com/roadmap. I will also link to this in the video description. If you've gotten this far and you feel like your portfolio website still needs some work, watch this next video. I share 7 key elements that every web designer's website needs to include so that you can launch or update your website without overthinking it. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you over there.